guys, this is hilarious. I will have to remember to take a screenshot because we literally have a couple of cameras on right now. So let me just make sure we're live in all the places. Welcome. If you're new to me, I'm Kiara from KiaraJones.com, trying to look at all the cameras. I'm super excited. Today, I'm doing something where I'm actually sharing just a moment of inspiration to my clients and my communities. But I wanted to also stream live for y'all over on YouTube. So, hey, girl, hey, welcome. And I am excited because this is all about the season of overflow. So, the season of overflow, that has actually been one of the resources that I provided to my clients this month. And this is the workbook to the masterclass that it goes with. But I said I have to share this message publicly as well, or at least a little bit of it. So I'm going to stay towards the end. I'm going to stay longer just for my clients, who are live with me there, just to answer some questions and everything. But I wanted to share the broader message with more of you. And so I want to talk about overflow. Y'all, overflow equals options. We as women, as high impact, transformation based, high achieving women, I know that right now, when you're looking to, so for example, I have my mini messaging sessions open. Really, they're sessions focus on elevating your conversions, right? So the focus is how do we amplify your messaging? How do we amplify the way that you're positioning your offers? How do we amplify the way that you are positioning yourself as a go-to expert? So if any part of you feels like you are in any way under positioning, under marketing, under charging for your work, right? Undervaluing your work. And that is subjective. A lot of people will sit and say, oh, that must mean you're like only charging, I don't know, $100. Or that might mean that you're only charging, I don't know, $200 for like a four-week session or some crazy like that, right? And so no, I have women who are like, listen, Kiara, I'm charging $4,500. I'm charging $5,000 for an offer and I'm having people buy it. But one, I know that more people should be buying this offer. Two, yes, I feel like I should be doubling my prices. So this is not a conversation of what amount are you undercharging, right? Because I feel like a lot of times we make the number mean, what we are like doing or not doing, and that's not the case. A lot of times for high achieving women, and I'm talking women who are doing six figures, multiple six figures, you come to a space where you're like, as I look at the overhead of my business, as I look at the expenses, as I look at other things that I want to invest in, I am seeing that, okay, we need to create more overflow. Okay, so that's first and foremost. Overflow isn't just a conversation for people who are like newer in business, women who are just starting out. This is for you as a high achieving woman who wants to create overflow. With that being said, I'm having these sessions with clients. So if you don't know, you can go to bit.ly/session with Kiara. Okay, especially if you're obviously not a client right now, you can go there because you and I can sit down. And when I'm sitting down with women and they are blown away with how much we can dive into in 30 minutes to truly work out what are the key tweaks that you could be making in your sales, marketing, and brand messaging right now to position you to be paid more, to command more premium rates, to call in more premium clients. How can we elevate your messaging and what I like to call that lux language? Okay, let's elevate how you are expressing what it is that you do, how you help your clients, those types of things. And so being able to identify those, and literally when you go to bit.ly/session with Kiara, you will see videos from individuals who've done this session with me and are also, like I said, blown away with how much we can go into in 30 minutes. But the premise of it is to create overflow. That's the whole energy behind it. When we're coming in, and my whole goal is how can I help you triple your sales? How can I help you triple your rates? How can I help you get paid more for the work that you do? How can I help you position yourself to command higher rates, to bring in higher quality clients? When we're talking about that, y'all, we're talking about it because you want to create overflow. So we need to talk about what's the shame that exists for women around overflow. And that is actually what the season of overflow, the masterclass, the workbook that has gone out to my clients this past month, all around that. And then there's also this cool, so if you, obviously for my members, y'all know you're supposed to be, sharing your 30-day overflow tracker. I want you to be tracking it. And so one of the things I want to talk about with overflow being options, this is not just financial. Financial is an amazing, layer of this, but this is not just financial. That was something that I went through inside of the masterclass. So definitely dive into it. If you have access, go into that part where I talked about the fact that Having options is beyond financial, is actually empowering you. I gave examples of what are other ways you can be experiencing overflow in your time, in your space, right? In not just space like physically, but it is space with your time. It is space with who you are around. I've had conversations with some of my clients who, felt like they had to stay in certain relationships because they didn't have that overflow. They didn't have that excess. They didn't have those options. Okay. So overflow simply equals options. It can be down to the food that you pick in the grocery store. Mike is in a space where he's like, baby, I don't want any fruit from the grocery store. I don't know what they're doing. He is now spoiled, which my best friend and I, we were talking about this the other day. I was like, oh goodness, like Mike only wants fruit from the farmer's market, so we were talking about that. And, it's like, oh, she's like, oh, you did it. You the one. I'm like, I know, I introduced this in. It gives options, right? And so now it's like, okay, I got to drive an extra like 5-10 minutes to go to the farmer's market for the fruit that he likes there. But it is healthier. It's actually cheaper as well. And all the things. So there we go. Sometimes we think overflow is just like, oh, because it's going to be more expensive there. No, because I actually was looking at their strawberries, and their strawberries were cheaper and they were better quality. Their peaches and pears are good. I've put up stories with me at this farmer's market. I love it. I was a little obsessed over the summer. So I'm interested to see how the fall, the winter is going to be with them. But, the point is, it's options. And we always think that options just means, oh, because it's going to cost more over there. No, think about the quality. If I'm sticking with this fruit example, the quality of this fruit, right? The availability of this fruit. I love mini cucumbers. And y'all know, if you go to the grocery store or even Trader Joe's, I like Trader Joe's too, but you buy them like 6 in a pack. And here you can like literally pick out which mini cucumbers you want. And I haven't seen a place where I can do that. So then it takes me time to get through 6, and I'm the only one who eats them in the house. So it's like, oh man, like I don't want them to go bad. And so, okay, I love the fact that I can, have the option to only get 2 or 3, even if it may cost more or not, right? The point is, we have to have a more expansive conversation around overflow, because if you're only looking at overflow from a financial point only, you're missing out. So let's talk about overflowing the quality of clients. That's one of the biggest things that I love diving into. That's one of the key reasons of I had a intensive earlier today. And so I'm working with a client. She's a multiple 6-figure business owner. And we're literally diving into, there's a certain level of client that she now desires, right? And you're probably in that space too, where you've been in business for a couple of years, right? And so you're in this space where you're like, okay, I've worked with, this group of individuals. And now I actually realize I really love working with this group. I really love, connecting with that group, right? I really love being able to, work with them in this capacity or that capacity. And so you realize you want a more elevated version of your client, okay? Which, comment below, I have something coming. Let me know if that's something that you're feeling. One, if you're grabbing a mini session with me, a strategy session, we can dive into that. And then let me know too, because that is something that's going to be coming for my members. So if you're a member, we have something beautiful that's coming to help you with more of your elevated like messaging and more of that luxe language that you need over into your messaging. But the point is, overflow, options, it's also quality, right? So it can be the quality. I forgot who I was talking to. I was telling them that my sister-in-law, so she was house sitting for us. And so she was like, what sheets are these? And I told Mike, like, oh, we know a Christmas, hopefully she don't watch this. we know a gift to get her. But it was these sheets. And again, that's options. So I want you to really sit and to think about, for my members, you already have homework on this inside of the masterclass, inside of the workbook. I've given you a bigger breakdown on this. But for those who are not working with me yet, I want to invite you to think about that for yourself. What does overflow look like for me? What else could it mean, including finances and outside of finances? And I came across this scripture. I want to read it. Okay. So it's Ecclesiastes 1:7. And it says, all streams flow into the sea, yet the sea is never full. Y'all, I'm sure I heard that scripture before, but everything's a time and a place. Okay. In a season. The way that you hear something last year is going to be different the way you hear it this year. The way that you heard it, 10 years ago, or when you was 5 years old, is going to be different than the way you hear it now. When I sat with that and I just didn't say anything, I just sat in silence with it. I literally was sitting over here like, oh my goodness, what a powerful visual. All of the streams, the rivers, they all flow into the ocean, and the ocean is never full. It never says, excuse me, please stop overflowing me with water. It never says that, right? It allows it to continue. So I want you to think about, where are you creating limitations? Y'all, okay, listen, this is where I feel called to go. Where are you saying, I don't know if I can really handle that bigger client. I'm afraid of having a client at double my current rate. I'm afraid to bring in a client at triple my current rate because their expectations are going to be like this. Which, by the way, I do have over on the YouTube. We have an entire episode on your mindset for next level clients. And this was something that I talked about. And you can go through there, and I, went in depth in this, right? And so going, and then also if you are inside of the program, we have actual mindset trainings and workbooks, and we have a ton of them on just like overflow on your next level mindset for clients, and just being in a space of allowing the new, right? Allowing the next level, right? All the up leveling stuff that's coming up for you. That's where you need to dive into. So, anyway, back to what I was saying was just being in this space of overflow is so important, right? Because of all the options that it gives you, but also because of who it allows you to be. And so I'm giving a little sneak peek. This is one of the parts of the exercise in the workbook in the masterclass. Who do you get to be from a space of overflow, right? And so when you think about, are there limitations that I'm placing on myself? And I was kind of talking about the next level client stuff. Are you afraid of expectations you think your next level client is going to have? Are you afraid of who you think that next level client will be? Are you afraid that you may not be able to serve that next level client? All of the different mind trash that comes in that's causing you to limit your overflow. So meanwhile, we all know the analogy. You keep trying to serve from a half cup, a half empty cup, half full cup, however you want to look at it, right? It's a cup that's not full enough to overflow. So you can't serve from that. And so we sit and we ask ourselves, well, why are women feeling, burnt out? Why are women feeling like they are like giving, giving, giving and not receiving? Well, one, these are not in any particular order, but one of the things I really love diving into inside of the sessions is actually your pricing. If we're positioning you to get paid more, if we're talking about you tripling your rates, we're going to take a look at those rates. How are you feeling about those rates? I want you to even think about that right now for yourself. How are you feeling right now about your current rates, right? Are they in a space where I forgot who, I think this was like a workshop that we must have had in the program or something. We were talking about this, or maybe it was one of our inner circle calls. But either way, it was a group of us, and we were talking about pricing, right? And I was saying, like, I will never, if your pricing is allowing you to bring in the profit that you need, like your take home pay, okay? Because we need to be having a bigger conversation around take home pay. Okay, not just revenue. And so when my clients are coming in, when we're doing these mini sessions, right, we're going into, your overall personal positioning plan. How do we amp that up? And a part of that is us talking about the profitability of your pricing, your take home pay, right? So increasing your rates, 3xing your rates and your sales, but we also want to make sure that we're increasing your take home, that we're increasing your profit too. And so anyway, the point is you can serve from overflow in your business when you have overflow in your business, right? So some of you are trying to create overflow for your clients. You're trying to create overflow for maybe your team. You're trying to create overflow for even yourself, but you don't have the overflow to give. And so it feels like you have to take from something to add to something else. And then who does that leave you to be when you come to serve, when you come to do a live stream, when you come to go record your YouTube video or your piece of content, when you go to, do a session with a client, when you go to do a group session with clients, when you go to that in-person event, when you go to that in-person speaking gig, like what versions of you are they getting? Are they getting the tired, exhausted, uninspired, uncreative? Y'all, if you are messaging me right now, if you are DMing me, that is totally fine. Love the messages. If there's questions, continue to send them about the sessions. You can totally send them. We do have some open. So I did just open my calendar back up to these strategy sessions. So yes, they are available, but thank you so much for all the questions in the comments, and all the things. And if you're on the replay, say, hey girl, hey too, and let me know that you are on the replay, because I want you to know, like, I am going to be looking at your comments. I want to hear what you're saying. I want you to pretend like you was live with us. All right. So, but who do they get? What version of you? Right? Are you fully inspired? Are you fully lit up? When I tell you, oh my goodness. So in the intensive that I had today, right? So this is a woman who's been in business over 8 years, probably almost 10 years. And so one of the biggest things that I love to hear from my clients is how in love with their business again they feel, how lit up again they feel. And messaging isn't just let's get words on the paper to help you sell more. Yes, that's important. And it's actually like the foundation of it is we are extracting out a deeper language that's within you that you want to be sharing. When you first start your business, you have one layer of your message, right? The messaging that I had at my first, let's say 5K, was different from the messaging that I then had at my first 50K. It was different from the message that I had at my first 100K. It was different from the message that I had at my first 250K. It was different from the message that I had at my first 500K. It's going to be the same for you. It is the same for you. So watching this client, right? And other clients of mine who literally get to have a moment where they step back and they think about how has, how, and I want you to think about this too. What new stories do you have? How have you grown? How have you expanded? Right? What do you need to be talking about in this level that you weren't talking about before? What were you talking about before that it's time to let go of? What are new things that you weren't even privy to that you needed to talk about? What are things that you wanted to talk about but haven't given yourself permission to talk about? Like, there are so many layers for us to go into your messaging. And so this is why when we want to shift from a space of like 5-figure messaging where you're doing like, insert your numbers, maybe like 20 to 50K a year, or maybe 50 to like, 90K a year. And then you want to go into that 6-figure status where you do like 150K a year, then that multiple 6-figure where you're talking about like 250, 300, 500K a year, right? Like when you're wanting to shift into from that 5-figure to 6-figure messaging, it is different. You need to know your client in a deeper capacity, right? You need to understand yourself at a deeper capacity. You need to dive into your framework as a deeper capacity. Like sitting there working with women who've done this work for 5, 10, 20 plus years, who are very, like, it's clear that they know what they're doing. But there's a process that I take my clients through that helps you fine tune your framework, your signature method, the messaging around it, how you position it, all the elements where you're like, oh my God, I've been doing this for 10 or 20 years. Literally, this is what clients have told me. I've been doing this for 10 or 20 years, and I can't believe that I wasn't talking about it like this. Or I can't believe I didn't see that I could amp up this, right? And so the client that I was on with today, she's had hundreds of people go through her method, and it's been amazing, and it's helped so many people. And now we get to help more. Do y'all understand? All of that is overflow. All of that is overflow. And so there's a couple things I want to say to like sum this up. One, overflow equals options. And those options are so much more than just a financial option. That's one of the layers. You need to start thinking about the quality of your life, the quality of the clients you call in, the quality of the team members, right? Those options. Oh, I have options to pick the best team support for myself. I don't have to just stick with this person over here who like kind of doesn't do the job, but kind of does the job. And I got to kind of settle and stick with it. That's options. That option comes from overflow, right? I don't have to just settle for these clients. That's a big thing that I hear in the strategy sessions that I have with women is, oh my goodness, Kira, I'm in a space where like I was settling for clients before. I just felt like I had to keep like, working with those clients and making money from, these kinds of offers. And I kind of really don't want to do that. I really want to go over here, but like, that's been my bread and butter. I feel like I have to stay there, all those things. And so there's some mindset stuff with like giving yourself permission, but there also is understanding that strategically you need to be adjusting your messaging so that you can talk to the people that you want to be talking to and call them in and pre-sell them and pre-qualify them into the offer that you really want to be selling at the rates that you really want to be charging, right? And so you don't need to settle. Give yourself permission and then do the positioning strategy work that you need to, which is what we get started in doing in 30 minutes. It like literally go to the bit.ly/session with Kiera. That link is somewhere around this video, in my link, in my bio, or the link is all over. So bit.ly/session with Kiera so that we can start your next level positioning plan. How do we position you to be paid more? Let's dive into, and one I want to say, I'm saying examples of what we can dive into, but really these are customized for you and for your business. Some of you were going to need to dive deeper into your ideal client, right? More than others. Some of you were going to have to dive deeper into your offers and to your price points and what you are charging, right? Some of you were going to have to dive deeper. There might be some mindset stuff that's coming up for you around your mindset to monetize more. Some of you, there's going to be us really diving into like some structured parts of your offer. Is your offer positioned to actually be, I was talking to a client maybe yesterday about this, looking at her offer, and so she's newer and we're like, fine tuning some piece of her offer. And it's like, this offer is not a high ticket offer. Would you want to pay a high ticket for this? Nope, it doesn't feel different. It feels like the same thing that anybody else would do. And that's just because you don't have those things that kind of differentiate you and distinguishes you from your signature method, right? From your personal brand story, from us, having your 6-figure story telling strategies built into your messaging. Those things are so important. And so this whole conversation is so that you can create overflow. And so with that being said, you have to know that you are worthy of overflow. That's how you serve. You're a woman of impact. That is how you gain, that's how you allow people to experience more of you, because you have more to give. And not more like, let me give so much more that I exhaust myself, but I have this capacity to give. I have this overflow to give. And here you go. And now we can serve you. And then we talk about, I'm a two-time published author, and in one of the books that I'm published in, I talked about the shine effect, right? And so it's kind of like the domino effect, right? So when one domino falls, it hits the other one falls, and so on and so forth. When one person shines, the other person is empowered to shine, and then other people are empowered to shine, and other people are empowered to shine. When you shine your light, when you step into your worthiness of what you are worth, you call your clients to as well, right? Whether you are a business coach, whether you are a life coach, whether you're a health coach, whether you're a financial coach, whether you are a consultant in, the wedding industry, whether you're a consultant in the film industry, or, the restaurant industry, like insert whatever industry that you are in, where you take your thought leadership, your expertise, your knowledge, and you're using it to help others. Whatever that is for you, you standing up for you and what you're worthy of invites other people to do the same. And sometimes that's why people be having a problem with it, because they're like, ooh, she's actually calling me higher. And I'm actually afraid of that, right? I'm afraid of the stories that I have to break through for that. I'm afraid of the work that I have to do for that, right? All the things. And so definitely some follow-ups and resources from you, or for you, from this video. So first and foremost, definitely, if you have something coming up for you personally, and if you're watching this over on one of our social media platforms, then shoot me a DM, and I'm happy to talk to you more about whatever is coming up for you. If you need more of a personal space, if you want to have full dedicated private time with me, where we dive into the elements that I've been talking about in this video, plus some other things that I'll see that come up for you to amplify your positioning plan, and really building that for you so that you can step into a space where you're dominating your industry even more powerfully, where you are positioning yourself as a go-to expert, you're commanding more premium rates, you're calling in higher paying clients, higher quality clients, true aligned clients, and you're positioning your offers in a way that allows you to sell them in a more effortless way, that really hones in on the high value expertise that you have to deliver. If you're wanting to own that more powerfully, if you're wanting to amplify your messaging, to accelerate your sales, to be able to activate this deeper part of authority for you in your industry, all those good things. Right now, I know that it's only 30 minutes, but I promise you, what is so beautiful is that my guarantee is that we're going to walk away with at least one nugget that you can actually implement. And I want to say, this is not a disguise of a sales call where I'm like, yeah, come get this session, and then, leave feeling like, what did I gain from that? No, when I tell you the amount of overflow, speaking of that clients get to experience inside of this session, it is so beautiful when they're like, literally, how did we just get all of that in 30 minutes? How does your brain work like that? I hear all the things. And I just have a way of seeing your one thing. And then it's just like web thinking, right? Being able to see, oh my gosh, like, okay, so we need to be talking about this here and this here and this here. And I have had clients who have literally left this session and been able to generate anywhere from like $2,500, $4,500, $9,000 from this session. So I want you to grab the session if it feels calling to you, right? Go ahead and grab it, especially if you want us to be able to dive into specifics about you, your brand, your offers, your messaging, your ideal clients, and what we need to elevate those conversions. We're going to have a whole messaging conversion chat. Okay, let's chat about how to amp up the performance of your messaging, because your messaging is going to everything. Your messaging goes into any type of enrollment event, any type of content, any type of pitching you're doing, any type of, whether it's recorded or live content, whether it's video or audio or written, it is going in it all. And if you continue to put in the same messaging that was bringing in the same type of clients in the past, especially if they weren't 100% ideal clients, or you weren't charging what you really want, or they're not converting at the rate that you want, why would you keep putting that messaging into all these other elements, right? The messaging is the most important thing that you can do to amplify your positioning. So definitely go to the bit.ly/session with Kiera so that you and I can have that one-on-one 30-minute chat. For sure. You also will see other resources. So if you just hit my links You will see I do have a next level messaging workbook. If you want to dive into that, so it can help you like start that work of diving deeper. But there is nothing that's compared to you having personalized, hands-on, one-on-one time where my eyes, ears, heart, right, is all in your messaging, and I can see very quickly things. So you don't have to sit and spend time going through the workbook. It's a very intensive workbook, but you're doing that yourself. There's a lens that you don't have. And so being able to, for me and you to sit down and go through these things together and like fast track all that is amazing. So that we can uncover at least one tip, one tweak that you can make to your sales, marketing, and messaging right now. Okay. So that you can amplify your sales and then continue to go over even more. Okay. Here's some other elements. I always say we get at least one, but you know, I just like to over deliver because of the overflow, right? That's how that works. You get to over deliver. You get to show up for your people because of the overflow. If the overflow doesn't exist, you cannot, sis. You can't. And you're trying and you're trying and trying because you care so much and because you want to impact people and because you love it and your heart is in it and all the things. But unfortunately, you're putting that energy one towards people who they don't actually want it. Some of y'all are talking to the wrong clients who don't actually want the help that you are here to give them. They're not ready for it. So there's an elevated client that you need to be talking to. You need to shift who you are communicating with inside of your messaging. So we will talk about that inside of your strategy session. And obviously, if you are one of the members, I just want to celebrate some of the members. I know, you know, some of you have had some really beautiful wins. I know I was in the group right before I went live. So I saw that one of our members actually just booked another client. And so I'm super excited for you with that. Congratulations. And I'm excited for even more for you. I believe that's your third one in the last week or two. So I'm super, super excited. But the point is, like, you need to definitely make sure that you are giving yourself permission for this overflow. Do not confuse overflow and desiring for more with being greedy. Don't confuse it with, you know, self-judgment, right? Don't let that self-judgment come into play, right? The only people that want to cause you to question overflow are the people who are questioning overflow for themselves. And you want to be really careful listening to people that are coming from that space. Because if we all just sit in a space of lack, where does that lead to? But when we all sit in a space of overflow, what's really cool. So now I'm about to transition over into giving some more strategy focused stuff to my members. So I'm going to end these complimentary lives in a second. But one thing I'm about to go over and just mention and talk about, or excuse me, I'll just mention it to you all, is when you are in the space of overflow, it allows you to see more, right? So one of the things that's happening inside of my Money in the Message inner circle, so that's where you're getting the sales messaging, mentorship and strategy work, as well as mindset. And so when we are doing that, one of the things that they got access to was not only the resource that I talked about here, where we talked about the season of overflow, and there's the workbook with it, and then there's the mindset masterclass, but also there are messaging prompts that I provided for this month to help contribute to overflow. And so definitely, if you're members, we're about to go over and talk about that. But that's one. But the other thing is, when you think about the overflow, one of the other things, this was on our call last week. And so one of the members who wasn't able to come to the call was watching the replay, and she was like, oh my God, this was fire. This was amazing, and had all these beautiful things to say. And so on that call, what we were doing with a couple of the members was going through, in particular, masterclasses. So, you know, if you are creating enrollment events for yourself, you have some type of launch, maybe it's a masterclass, a webinar, a challenge, a workshop, whether it's live or virtual, or in person or virtual, you know, live, anything like that, right? So we were going over my flow for that. And so one of the things that we were talking about, or that I came up with for them with the strategy, was because you're in a space of overflow, when you take your limitation head off, like, oh my God, I don't have anything to offer. I don't know masterclass. I don't know what I could do with this. I don't know what that. And it's like, wait a minute, what do you have available? What do you have available, right? And so one of the things that we were diving into that each member was invited to think about was, hey, what is an old masterclass that you had? And I'm just giving you all this extra bonus. What is an old masterclass that you have? What's something that did convert before that you haven't used in so long? Y'all, I was sitting there looking at something that I put together. I thought it was in 2019, but it was or in 2020. The point is, usually towards the end of the month, things get, or not end of the month, the end of the year, right? Sometimes it's like, okay, the year is gone, you're a little tired because of overflow. I like to make sure, okay, I want to step into like energy for the next year. So I want to be careful. I want to take the last 2 weeks off, all that type of stuff. And so I got inspired to do this workshop one year, right? And I was like, oh, I just feel like doing it. And I believe it was at the end of November, I was promoting it, and it was happening in December. And usually December is like, quieter for me, is, because again, my energy, I'm like, okay, I want to like prepare for the following year. And I just more so want to like serve clients. And then that's really it. And so I said, oh, I want to run this workshop. And so I believe I wanted to have 10 people sign up for it, because I was giving intimate support to each person in my workshop. And if you've been to my stuff, you know that that is something that I love to do. And so in my boot camps and things like that, my challenges and workshops and everything. And so anyway, I wanted 10 people, and then, ended up getting 15. And I was like, okay, so that is definitely overflow of like, okay, we're going to have more people in, more women in this. And it was a paid workshop. And so it was incredible. It was amazing. And half of the women wanted to continue working with me. And literally it came from, oh, December is a month where I just want to recharge. I want to reset. I don't want to like commit to doing too much. I just want to focus on serving the clients that I have right now as we like prepare for the following year. And then I get inspired, right? And then I have this idea, I do this event, and I think I made like, I don't know, $1,500. It wasn't an expensive event. The ticket was like $100 and something dollars. And so actually it was 120. So that's how I remember. Yes, it was 2020. Or we were in 19 going into 120. We were playing with the whole 2020 year. So it was $120.20. And so we made like $1,500 or $1,800, something like that, whatever the numbers break out to. It was a little bit less than 1,800. And so it's like, not a big amount of money, right? But it was just like something inspired. And then half of them want to work with me, and they want to work with me in an offer that is a 4-figure investment. And then at that time, I was kind of like closing my 5-figure program. But we ended up having someone who did want to go into that one. Overflow allows you to step into that space, is what I'm trying to say. If you're in a space of lack of like, oh, like I don't have, so in the example I've gave with my clients of like, hey, what master classes do you have? What resources do you have that we could literally, because what I really geek out on is, and so I just did this with one of my clients. So she has a particular webinar. And so, we literally fine-tuned the entire webinar. So we went through like, what's your elevated next level messaging? What are elements that you're missing, right, to help you increase conversions? Because conversions had kind of slowed down. Literally, when I tell y'all, the conversions that she got literally with us using, that was in less than a week of her utilizing those. So she made back her initial investment literally from that, from those tweaks. And then was able to have like even more calls. And we're talking like usually maybe having like 1 to 4 calls being booked. And she was able to have double-digit calls being booked, right? And so if, just to break that down, what that means, everything is about conversions, right? So being able to 4x your conversion to get 3 or 4 times the number of people actually booking calls with you, actually wanting to work with you, actually coming to the call pre-sold, pre-qualified, is a game changer. And so that is the sales messaging work. So I'm not talking about messaging that you just put on your paper just to make it sound good and look good and all those things. We're talking about messaging that elevates your conversions. And there's specific things that I look out for. So literally, in a matter of a couple of days, I could see exactly where the gaps were in her webinar. And this was a webinar she had run in different capacities over years. And so, man, has she, had this elevated language, 2 years ago. But it's been really beautiful. And she's been able to ride with that. And we didn't stop there. We actually went into the emails that she had, right? So you put together your email funnel, your sequence after your webinar, and going into what are the messaging tweaks that we need to make inside of those emails. And now we have every email converted, which I'm so excited for her. Like, it's amazing. Sometimes people, I don't want to get into all that but the point is, we'll save that for us to do a fine tune with the members. But my point is, because you're coming from a space of overflow. So where I geek out is like, I love taking your stuff and going through, ooh, here's how you're talking about it really well, but here's where you're not. So all we need to do is elevate this. Oh, and you're also missing this, and this. You're missing the 6-figure storytelling strategy. You're missing how to actually turn your testimonials into transactions, right? You're missing how to connect intimately with your client here, right? You're talking to this client, but that's not who you really want to call in, but you don't even realize that you are talking to them. So you're actually repelling clients. So let's shift that language, right? So just knowing what specific things to look at. You're not actually positioning your method here like this. Like one of my clients was like, here, I do talk about my signature method. I talk about it all the time. And I went through and I'm like listening to, watching videos and just listening to how they talk about it. I'm like, you said the name of it, but you didn't sell it to me, right? And so and then some of you over deliver. Some of you are like teaching, teaching, teaching. I had a client, Alex, where like literally we went through her webinar, her a presentation she was putting together, and her signature talk. And so we took out 80% of what she was talking about there, because I was like, okay, this part is for the people who pay you for this offer, this particular pay offer, because you should have levels in your business model. The person at this level gets this, the person at this level gets this. And so you're giving everybody this, but they haven't paid for that. So what else do they need to pay you for? And so shifting her mindset around that, shifting her messaging around that, taking out 80% of what she delivered, she made, so in that initial of the signature talk, she made $10,000 before she even left the stage with that signature talk, right? Because we put in the messaging that she needed to elevate her clients into wanting that next level, and not in a way, because we're heart-centered and we're impact-driven. So not in a way where you walk away like, oh my God, I didn't even get anything. When women walk away from my 30-minute strategy session, they're like, oh my God, how the heck did we just do all of that in there? And you telling me, Kiera, you got more? Yes. Give me 3 hours, okay? Give me 4 months. Give me 6 weeks, whatever time frame, you know, that we're going to work together. But I just want you to think about that. All of that comes from overflow. So my point was, let me come back to it. One of the tips I want to give you, right? And so this is something that we've been talking about inside the Money in the Message and the Inner Circle is, hey, for example, if you have an old masterclass, what do you have? And so we can look for specific tweaks that we can start making, so you can put that out and you can go create overflow. But if you're coming from a space, you have that lack hat on, and you're like, oh, I have nothing. Well, then you don't have anything. But when you get to going through like, oh, well, in 2019, I actually did this. And you know what? In 2021, I actually had this. And then this year, I actually had that. And I actually had that. Okay, let's refine them. Let's review them. Let's refine them. Let's rewrite them. Let's republish them. And let's reboot the revenue with them. Okay, if you will. So anyway, my point is I'm going all into the things. I'm so excited. So let me just go, because I want to make sure I'm answering questions. Let me see if there's any general questions before we dive into member questions for any of my clients that are on. And if you are on the replay, go ahead and drop your question as well. And if you're live over here on YouTube, can you just say, hey girl, hey, I just want to see your comment pop up. Actually, truth be told, this is my first live stream over on YouTube in particular. I know over on Facebook, I've done thousands and thousands of live streams. And finally, I listened to God when he said, Kiera, I want you to come over to YouTube. So I also want to make sure. So say, hey, first, just congratulate me. Just pat me on the back, give me a little love, and say, hey, I'm over on YouTube. I'm in your YouTube community. And make sure you subscribe if you're watching this live stream as well. And if you are not a part of our YouTube Shine Sisterhood, then make sure you come on over to us over on YouTube at the Kiera Jones. All right, so let me just see. If you are on the replay, like I said, just drop and see if you have any questions. I'm just moving the screen so I can see all the places that we're live if there are questions. Okay, and then we'll go into member oops. Hold on, y'all. Now, I told y'all if I can remember, let me just move this thing over, to take a photo of how I have this set up, because I see 4 of myself. I'm in an overflow space of Kiera, which is not a bad thing. Okay, so because we have Instagram, we got Facebook, we got YouTube, and then we have the Facebook group. Let me see. Hold on, y'all. My mouse is not. Okay, so you're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. I'm so happy to talk about this. You're welcome, my love. And welcome if you are new to me. Love that you are here. Thank you. All right, so yeah, so how to shift from being in a space of being just enough. Just enough can go into a lot of different spaces. Just enough could be, this comes up a lot with my clients. So for you as a high value expert woman, right? You have a high value level of expertise. You're using that to impact others, to create money, to all the things, right? You can sometimes wonder, is my expertise enough? So one, for the members who are in the program, there is actually a lesson that we have on this around, you know, your high value expert woman energy. Yeah, so if you go to the expertise mindset area, you will see The masterclass number 3 talks about the high value extra woman energy. So I definitely want to call you to that if you are a member that's watching this. But I also want to remind you, for those who are not members, if I can just, just love on you for a minute. Where are you enough? Where is your expertise enough? So when we sit and we say like, oh, I don't know if my expertise enough, there could be a couple things. One, this is why I really love to make sure that I'm assessing my client's audience, right? And I'm helping you really tap into like, who really is your ideal client? Because sometimes the ideal client you be aiming for, maybe they don't necessarily need what it is that you offer. That doesn't mean that what you offer isn't valuable. That just means that they're not the people who most value it or need it. Now, I want to talk about value and need. They are different, because you can have someone who needs what you offer and who doesn't value it. They're not wanting help right now. They're okay to stay on YouTube, or they're okay to go to Google and find an answer to their question. They don't value hands-on support. You go into Google or Chat GPT. Oh my God, I was cracking up with a friend of mine who is also a copywriter, and we were talking about people who go on Chat GPT and they get these things. It's like, girl, that looks Chat GPT all the way down. What type of connection is that making with your people? And so not knowing how to still bring that into your brand voice and still finesse that and still make sure that it connects. So anyway, my point is feeling enough. Where do you feel enough, right? There are going to be people who don't necessarily value having hands-on one-on-one support, having personalized feedback, having the higher level versions of what it is that you have to offer. That's not my problem. So be careful when this whole not enough is coming up. You want to be careful of like, where is that coming from right now? Is that coming from me potentially like talking to a misaligned client, right? Oh, I'm never going to be enough for them. They don't need what I have to offer, or they don't want what I have to offer. They don't value what I have to offer. That doesn't take away from your value. Your job is, where are the people who do value it, and what's the language and the messaging that I need to speak to them. And then the other thing that I want to say with the not enough. So when I talk about if you are in the program, we separate. So I can actually, so like in the mindset section, is this showing? In the mindset section, let me put here, and then let me put it here and up there. In the mindset section of the program, all of these have drop downs, right? So, some of them, so there's like the purpose mindset, expertise mindset, visibility mindset, sales mindset, money mindset, lovely mindset. So after working with over 2,000 women, I have identified those are the 6 core mindset areas that women who are monetizing their expertise and who want to do so more tend to feel restricted, or tend to feel not as powerful as they need to, and it's distracting them from their dollars. Okay. And so if you go into my YouTube, there is a whole mindset playlist. You will see I have different mindset videos up there, and then you'll also see I have a mindset workbook that is completely free. If you want to do an assessment to figure out which of these 6 areas is costing you the dollars, right? But anyway, the point is, I'm going to talk specific to the expertise mindset when it comes to this enoughness. So there's a mindset component of feeling enough, but let me tell y'all, so we do the mindset stuff, but when we pair that with the strategy around why are you enough, and not just why are you enough and let's give you affirmations of why you're enough. No, the mindset part plus the strategy, why are you enough? Literally, what I can hands down promise you, there has never, I think I've done about 300, maybe we're at 350. So I do intensives, and this is a 3-hour session. So we have our strategy session, which is like a 30-minute quick, like here's the top 1, maybe 2 or 3 other things that will help you. And then we do a fuller intensive where I'm diving deeper into your entire signature method. I'm diving into your entire ideal client. I'm diving into like the core curriculum of what you teach, right? And the messaging that you need to position your offers more powerfully. So if you have a core offer that you want to be positioning more powerfully, that's the session for it, right? And we dive into all the components that support you with that. And so part of that is your signature method. And so when I'm working with my clients, whether it's in the intensive or in the inner circle, either way, we're working on your signature method. I have never, ever had any of my clients, okay, in 8+ years, who, no matter how long they've been in business, I've had women who've been in business for 2 months. I've had women who've been in business for 20 years. And when this enoughness question, believe it or not, does come up for women who've been in business for 10, 25 years. It does. When we do the work in the way that I take you through your method, your own method, and at the end, you're like, here, how do I buy? I know this is my method, and you just sold me my own method. That's the level of Talk about embodiment, expert embodiment. That's embodying your expertise. And so that comes from not just having fake affirmations. I'm not saying that they are fake, but what I mean is like your brain, you are a smart, intelligent, right? I remember y'all over here. You are a smart, intelligent woman. There's a practical part of this that is needed. So it's the mindset work and making sure that you see on paper. This is exactly why my signature method is enough. I had a client of mine, Stephanie. Stephanie literally within, I think it was 5 or 7 days, she had came in, right? And so she did the same pre-work that you would do, whether you're doing my intensive or you're coming into Money in the Message, you're going to do some pre-work. She did the pre-work. And even before the pre-work, let me start there. She had a certain price point. I said, okay, hey, my advice to you is that we triple this price point. And she's like, oh, I don't know. I don't know if it's enough. All these questions. So then we're like, okay, let's go through the pre-work exercise. And she's like, I can double it. I'm like, okay, I'll take that. So let's double it. Okay, so now let's go ahead and do the pre-work. Let's start working on the messaging that you need to launch this offer. Or relaunch this offer. This was an offer that she had already had, but she never could, like she had launched it 2 times. She kept hitting a plateau with it. And so she's like, okay, this is my next launch. I want to increase it. Okay, cool. So then she does the pre-work within a week of her doing the pre-work and then us having this, her session, because when you come into Money in the Message, we do, there are some one-on-one calls that you and I are going to have. And then obviously if you're in my intensive and fullness and everything like that, you're going to have one-on-one calls too. So we're diving into her method, right? Inside of she did the pre-work. She was like, oh my God, I feel really excited. And then we finished through, I bring the final parts together for her. She's like, oh my God, I'm ready to triple the price. So that is my example to you, asking about feeling enough. There's mindset components of it for sure. So we want to dive into that. And there's some mindset work that we have inside the mindset section of the program. And we want to combine that with the strategy work so that you can see on black and white paper that you're enough, why you're enough, all of the things that attribute to your authority, and you can start positioning that into your expertise. That's when it starts to truly click. That's when you start to be in a space where you are embodying your expertise. So I hope that that supports you in your question. And welcome, hi love. I hope that that supports you in your question around feeling enough, right? There's a mindset level of this and there's a messaging level of this. And together you break through it where you can embody and no longer question whether you are enough. So you have to get really clear. Am I talking to the right audience who will know and trust and believe that I'm enough? I don't have to sit and prove, right? And that's the other thing. When you're taking your next level messaging and you're putting that and infusing that into every area of your brand, your marketing, your sales, and you start to shift, you start to literally see the shift in the quality of clients who come to you, the quality of questions that come to you, the quality of how they come ready, right? Because they have the work that they need. They have the knowledge that they need. You've given them the information that they need to make the best, most empowered decision for themselves, right? But you can't be showing up not feeling enough as an expert. That's not going to work. And like I said a minute ago, I've had clients who've been in business 5 years. I've had clients who've been in business 10 years. I've had clients who've been in business 20 years who still have this come up. It may not come up the way that it comes up for someone who's like, oh, I'm just like, this is my first year in business. It may not be the same level of that, but now it becomes a different question. So when you're first starting out, right? Remember earlier I told you the messaging that I use at my first 5, 10, 50K, the messaging that I use at my first 100, 150K, the messaging I use at my first 250K, the messaging I use at my first 500K, like the messaging that you use at these different levels are going to be different because you are different. You see different things about your clients. There's things that the client I was talking to today, there's things that she saw in clients her first year in business. And there's things that now she's in, let's say the 8th year of her business, almost 10. I have to ask her which one it is, but somewhere between 8 and 10, that she's, I think it might be, I think it's going to be closer to 10. The point is, she sees different things in her clients now, right? And so that comes with time. And so with that, what happens to a lot of CEOs and leaders, right? As you grow, you get so busy in your delivery and life and all the things, you don't go back. So you just keep taking the old messaging with you and you make little tweaks here and there, but it's never true, cohesive, powerful tweaks that allow you to really elevate your positioning. Because now the question isn't, am I enough to sign a client? Like maybe in the first, when you're making your first, like, let's say, less than 50,000. Am I enough to sign a client? And then when you're ready to hit to 6 figures, okay, am I enough to charge double? And then when you're ready for multiple 6, okay, am I enough to do this for 10 women, for 20 women, for 50 women, for 100 women? Can I have a challenge where I have 20, 30, 50, 100 women in that challenge, in that workshop? And I'm just saying women for me, but for you, it might be men and women, whoever it is, people. Okay, so now can I have a in-person event where I have dozens of people? Okay, so now can I have a webinar where I have 100, 200, 300 people? So, and oh God, there's so many things to talk about. This is where I talk about like that one-to-many messaging, because what happens is the messaging that you were using when you were just focused on like talking to one person one-on-one, versus now you're in a live stream, versus now you're in a webinar, versus now you're talking to people, people are coming into your funnel, versus now you're doing ads, versus now you're doing like, having more people in your enrollment events, right? Like you're talking to dozens of people at a time. You're talking to multiple dozens of people at a time. That's going to be different. And you need to understand how to talk to one-to-many messaging. How do I talk to multiple people at once and still connect with them? I have so many women who do my boot camps and stuff. And so we'll have anywhere from like 20 to 50 women at a time in our boot camps. And literally women will message me, Kira, you made me feel so seen this week, or this, today in this event. And that is something that I hold near and dear to my heart, because that is something that is truly, truly important to me. So I hope that supports you and your question on enoughness. Plus, we went to a lot of other areas. I need to run because I need to just make sure I go through some other questions for members. And then I actually have an interview that I need to, thank God I'm already dressed and stuff. So I look cute for the camera and everything. But I hope that you, if you're not inside the program, I hope that those of you will take heed. Do not just like, oh my God, I feel inspired from this. All that inspiration that you feel, let's go do something with it, sis. Let's go do something with it. So go ahead and hit that link somewhere around this video. Go ahead and grab a session with me while they are still available. And by the way, at this time live right now, there actually is a $200 off special for you. So you can go ahead and grab it while it's on there. And I'm so sorry if you get there and they're booked out. Please, y'all don't be in the inbox yelling at me, okay? But go ahead and grab them while they are available, because really, what other time are you going to wait for? What else are you waiting for to amplify your positioning? If any part of you feels like you know that you are not positioning your work as powerfully as you could be, then this session is for you. Yes, you're doing, okay, I'm doing okay. Okay, I'm making good money. Okay. But we're talking about overflow. You could be converting 2 times your rate right now if you understood these are some of the elements that I'm missing in my messaging, and you're so close to it that sometimes it's really, really hard for you to see. Okay, so I cannot wait to spend this time with you. Go ahead to the bit.ly/session with Kiera, and you'll hear from others who've done this session with me. Let them tell you, okay? I can tell you all the things. Let them show you and tell you what they've been able to create. And then definitely go ahead and grab any of the resources that I've talked about, the free Mindset to Monetize workbook, or we have a free messaging workbook. You can grab that, or hop on over to our YouTube. We have tons of brand boosting trainings over there to help you and to support you. And until next time, love, shine, and success. Make sure you tag a biz bestie, a mastermind sister, an accountability buddy who needs to hear this message and hear this video and be inspired. And until next time, love, shine, and success. Bye to everyone that was on the live. Members, stay here 1 second. Bye, y'all.